Ladies and gentlemen, this is really interesting. Ron DeSantis blasts CBS 60 Minutes for deceptively edited Publix clip, a political narrative. The Lakeland, Florida-based grocer also slammed the report, calling it absolutely false and offensive. The article will be below. If you have the corporation and the governor both condemning or both saying, hey, this report is completely false. They're trying to say I'm not going to get into it because of YouTube policies, but you can read the article below. The bigger story and the lesson learned is that Ron DeSantis is a Trump Republican. He fights back. What they're trying to do, like one of the journalist was saying, it's pay to play, it's pay to play. They don't care about pay to play. They don't care about quid pro quo. I mean, you actually have, if not definitive proof, but you have all of Hunter's emails. I give 10% to the big man. Who do you think the big man is? Trump? No, it's our beloved president, President Biden, our beloved president. He stated that in his own words. That's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. That's why the Democratic Party created this fictional, fabricated fantasy that Russia infiltrated the DNC to inform everyone that Bernie Sanders wasn't being treated fairly. It wasn't that Bernie was being railroaded because Democrats have a sham and a racket called a primary. What happened in Iowa in last year? It took 3 days, and just miraculously, an app from a link to Clinton campaign people. I mean, I'm not alleging anything. I have no evidence of anything. I would never in a million years say that anyone associated with Madam Secretary would do anything that would be shady or that would undermine Bernie Sanders. They despise Bernie Sanders. Do you understand? President Trump, I voted for President Trump because he removed Americans, and he negotiated a deal to remove Americans from the longest-running conflict, longest-running counterinsurgency quagmire. On May 1st, 2021, we're supposed to remove and withdraw Americans from a region of the world we've been in for 20 years, far more important to this country than any topic focused upon by Democrats. Far more important. Foreign policy. That's foreign policy. Facebook ads, not foreign policy. Facebook ads, not national security. Anyway, President Trump, first president to step foot in North Korea. Abraham Accords presided over the beginning of peace, or a roadmap towards peace in a region of the world that hasn't seen that. Abraham Accords, peace between Israel, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco. Really wonderful things. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. President Trump was a great president in terms of accomplishments. That's the objective truth. In terms of you cannot say that President Trump did anything worse or even approaching what Biden, Madam Secretary, and President Obama did, the Nobel Prize-winning President Obama did in Libya. They caused a country to become a failed state. This is not my opinion. Even President Obama stated it was his biggest mistake. So they caused the country to become a failed state with suffering, chaos, mayhem, sorrow for the past decade, with human beings being bought and sold, and Trump presided over worse? No, he did not. We had record low unemployment throughout most of his tenure, or we had at least a great economy throughout most of his tenure. The pandemic was not his fault. It was the fault of Democratic governors like Andrew Cuomo and Phil Murphy. And God bless the people of New York and New Jersey. But hit subscribe. They deserve better than Murphy and Cuomo. But hit subscribe to this channel right now. Go to the New York Times statistics. You can see the 7 Democratic states, 7 of the top 11. Go to the New York Times statistics. Again, I'm not making it up. The numbers disprove the propaganda spin. It's not one man's fault. And they keep on saying Trump's pandemic response. Well, what about the response of every Democratic governor? They were completely blindsided. That's not Trump's fault. Almost 1 out of 5 people, according to the New York Times, almost 1 out of 5, who lost their lives presided over presided within New York or California, and 7 of the top 11 account for 7 states within the top 11 with the highest number of lives lost account for around 40% of all the lives lost. The states with the highest per capita rates, top 4 states are Democratic-run states. How is that Trump's fault? Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Ron DeSantis is fighting back, and that's a good thing. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said Monday that CBS's long-running news magazine 60 Minutes discredited itself by pushing a political narrative about his handling, that ran counter to the reality. So, DeSantis and Publix. This is an article below. I'm just, for the YouTube policies, my God almighty, I'm just reporting on this. And it happens to be accurate. DeSantis explained, and this is how President Trump does this, and it's good. But in the manner in which DeSantis did it, addressed the journalist calmly and in an effective manner, wasn't insulting at all, but was very thorough in his rebuttal and was confident in his vantage point. He didn't, sometimes it's fun to hear President Trump go after somebody and with nicknames and all that, but then at a certain point it gets old. And like I always say, President Trump shouldn't have insulted LeBron James. He should not have insulted NFL athletes. There are certain things that he shouldn't have done because it overshadowed his good, the good accomplishments that he presided over, allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Fact. Prison reform legislation. If he is a horrible human being, why did he sign prison reform legislation? I would love to know this. The rebuttal to that is, you could be a horrible human being and still sign prison reform. Yeah, but the chances are, the chances aren't high. The odds are pretty low that you're this despicable human being and you preside over good things. I judge people and you judge people by their actions. If somebody said to you, oh, I love you, and they betrayed you every 2 seconds, that person doesn't love you. So you are judged by your actions, not your words. This Twitter generation, or I don't want to say generation, but activists on Twitter utilize words and semantics and euphemisms and hyperbole, and it's like a philosophy of language course to find out what's really going on within this angry, disgruntled cyber reality called Twitter. And what they do is they judge people by their words. So you have, what kind of human being wants another person to lose their job, lose their source of income because of something they wrote 10 years ago? But you have that on the left because it's the only thing they have. Do they have Medicare for all? No. Do they have Green New Deal legislation? No. Do they have universal basic income? No. Do they have abolishing all student debt? No. Do they even have the stimulus they wanted? No. Do they have they changed the tax code? So Bernie Sanders is like, these corporations didn't pay any income tax. Why don't you? Democrats will never change the tax code. Okay? They didn't run on raising taxes. Now there's going to be a tax increase. But they don't run on this stuff. So they're deceptive and duplicitous and disingenuous when they're asking for people's votes. And the Democratic Party runs only on incremental change. But anyway, which is not what left-leaning voters want. They want transformative populist changes. President Trump actually presided over a great many populist changes, renegotiating NAFTA into the USMCA, tariffs instead of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So a lot of things that actually people say, well, how could you go from Bernie Sanders to Trump? Because there's a direct line from Bernie Sanders to Trump. You have to be a complete imbecile or completely ignorant about politics to not see there's a direct line between Bernie Sanders to President Trump. Maybe not 2020 Bernie Sanders, which was, somewhat a creation of Twitter, but 2016 Bernie Sanders. But anyway, DeSantis said on Tucker Carlson tonight that during a segment with correspondent, his words were deceptively edited to portray his state's senior citizens, plan to be nothing more than paying back a corporate political donor. So this was not the case. In fact, he received more money. You can look at it. You can look at the fact that there are holes. And there are a whole lot of when they talk about like Project Veritas, for example, they don't really edit anything. It's actually the words of people, either Democrats or people on the left, that do them in. The words themselves do them in. But they always deceptively edited. It's deceptively edited. Oh my God, it's deceptively edited. Well, when they always deceptively edit anything to do with President Trump or Ron DeSantis. They even put words in Trump's mouth, so much so the Washington Post had to retract. Well, they created and fabricated words. They put words into Trump's mouth completely fabricated. Anyway, DeSantis fought back in a reasonable manner. Now, I actually think President Trump could learn from Ron DeSantis. And I think that, I don't know if Ron DeSantis has what it takes on a national scale. I think that he does. If, heaven forbid, President Trump doesn't run again in 2024, and I want to see him run again, I think he will, then Ron DeSantis is a very good option. He's very intelligent. He understands the motivation. Like, he understands what Democrats and media, he understands the synthesis or the union of Democrats, media, social media. He understands that. I think President Trump, God bless him, was, and I would vote for President Trump again, allocated, like, the HBCUs, but also signed an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses. So when professors, for example, make the absurd revisionist and denial claims of AOC, for example, trying to liken one time period to another, two time periods that have nothing to do with one another, and I wrote about that in the Jerusalem Post. So read my op-ed about AOC in the Jerusalem Post on hagoodman.com. But they don't get federal funding if they make anti-Semitic claims. Anyway, he did a lot of good things. Moved the embassy to Jerusalem. I think that's a very good thing. If you're on the far left or the far right, you might not think that's a good thing, but that is a good thing for many reasons. But anyway, he's a great president. He was a great president. His Twitter profile overshadowed. See, they needed to create a caricature. They needed to create another Trump they needed to dehumanize him. And they were able to do that on Twitter. And that's unfortunate. And he fell for a trap. With Ron DeSantis, you have somebody who, he fights. He understands that media wants a political objective. So this is relatively new in American history. Generally, there was a time 100 years ago, late 1800s, early 1900s, where media would try to foment military conflicts. But I think this is the first time, perhaps in our history, in the history of our country, where you have all the major newspapers, major publications, most of, television, pulling for one political side, the Democratic Party. All of Hollywood, all of the music industry, even intelligence operatives. So you need somebody to fight. President Trump, when he was running, was excellent. In 2014, 2015, and 2016, he did a fantastic job with journalists. He was on, what's the show with, oh my God. He was on different shows on CNN, on MSNBC, and he was able to, in a very eloquent manner, or at least he was able to, in a civil and calm manner, debate and refute arguments. In the last year or so, he was ambushed by Axios, 60 Minutes. He didn't have the patience. So you need President Trump to acquire that patience that he used to have. DeSantis has that. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for getting this channel going again. We're over 181,000 subs. Let's get to 200,000 plus, ladies and gentlemen. Tell your friends about this channel. To my 15-minute crowd, if you're watching throughout this segment, please tell your friends, tell your family, get this channel going. Let's get to 200,000 subscribers. Thank you so much.